I will be speaking from Proverbs 31:25 to 31 this morning. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her husband and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. I do not know who wrote this, but I'm sure most of you mothers can relate to the following. This is a permanent job, and a successful applicant must be prepared to work hard. The workplace is often a challenging and chaotic environment. Applicants must possess excellent communication and organizational skills and be willing to work variable hours, including weekends. Extensive chauffeuring is required at your own expense and must be willing to be hated and then bribed for a $5 handout. Must be willing to bite your tongue repeatedly and must have the ability to plan and organize social gatherings for clients of all ages. Must be willing to be indispensable one minute and an embarrassment in the next. Must always hope for the best, but must be prepared for the worst. Must assume final and complete accountability for her end product. Responsibilities include floor maintenance, laundry, and janitorial work. No promotional prospects and no previous experience necessary. It's on-site and on-the-job service training and is provided continually. Sounds like a good job. No wages and bonuses are applied, but hopefully job satisfaction will be enough. Benefits include, listen, no health, no dental insurance, no pension, and tuition reimbursement, no way. No paid holidays, but this job does supply limitless opportunities for what? Free hugs for life, if you play your cards right, for the rest of your life. And the outlays, you pay every single bill for your child until what? They turn 18. Because it is assumed, I'll say that again, it is assumed that college will help them become financially independent to, guess what? Leave home. Nowadays, that's hard to get them to do, apart from changing the locks on the door. I like that. It was funny. One such mother who was at the end of her tether, but still struggled against all odds in vain, was a Syro-Phoenician woman in Matthew 15:21 to 28, or Mark 7:25 to 30. Jesus met this desperate woman with a special needs child. Maybe you've seen someone like her at the grocery store or your child's school. The Gentile mother, not gentle mother, Gentile mother in Mark's Gospel is a Syro-Phoenician woman from the region of Tyre, which is now Lebanon. It was a mixed breed of Syrian and Phoenician. The region of Tyre was where Jews and Gentiles frequently interacted, but it was an uncomfortable situation for them, for Jews whose religion and law forbade them with associating with what? This Gentile lower class of people. After all, Jews were God's chosen, and all other people were inferior and religiously unclean. It was not the sort of place you'd expect a Jewish Messiah to go. So why was Jesus there? Because this particular Syrophoenician woman was there and had probably been ostracized by her Syrian parents and Phoenician relatives. Her husband, or casual acquaintance, I don't know, knowing the difficulties of race relations, probably fled when she told him she was pregnant. Somehow, this courageous woman survived as a single mother. But when her daughter began having seizures, most of the people around her said, she deserves what she got. She's not glamorous or gorgeous. She's not plastered on the front cover of Vogue magazine. And there's apparently nothing really interesting about her. Her daughter is spiritually sick with an unclean spirit. And you know how that goes. The sickest in society are so easily quarantined, disabled, mentally challenged. And today, quarantine is COVID-19. They quarantine the healthy people and not the sick. I don't know, that's a twisted turning, I must admit. This Gentile woman with no name is an advocate for her child. She is out of options and money. But she hears that Jewish miracle working prophet, his name God Jesus, is passing through the area. So she approaches Jesus, who's popular in the region, and begs him to cast out the demon out of her daughter. No is not the answer she's looking for from him. Jesus already had a proven track record of healing Jewish women, like Jairus' daughter. So she pressed Jesus to do the same for her, even though she was Syrophoenician. After she makes her plea, Jesus responds, "Let the children," which is meaning Jews, "be fed first, for it is not fair to take the children's food and throw it," listen, "to the dogs." Who are the dogs? They called Gentiles dogs in those days, the Jews, a lower class of inferior people. She answered him, "Sir, even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs." She recognized quickly the contrast between a privileged position of Israel, which was the children, and the less privileged place of the Gentiles, which are called dogs. Although a dog was unclean and lower than a child in a household, the dog is still part of the household. I know my dog is. My dog's part of our household. A dog still gets crumbs and is part of God's kingdom and has access to the bread. Who's the bread that we're speaking about here? It's Jesus, the Word. The Word is the bread. The woman's impertinent reply saves her daughter. She may only receive a crumb, she said, from the bread provider, but that is enough if it heals my daughter. Thus this woman, this mother, is satisfied with the crumbs, even as Jesus, a little bit later, feeds 4,000, which might be considered crumbs of 7 loaves and a few fish. Then Jesus told her that his blessings were intended for the Jews and is not for, listen, her kind. Jesus only came for his people, the beloved people, his Father's people, the Israelites, not for the likes of you. You are Gentiles, all of you out there, unless you're Jewish or unless you're an Israelite. The rest of you are dogs. Some commentators point out the word Jesus used was for a pet dog. They've calmed it down. They've watered it down. Not a mangy dog living on the garbage dump. But don't assume for 1 minute that that was a compliment in any way whatsoever. Try telling your wife that she looks like your beloved King Charles Cavalier. I don't think she's going to be very happy. You called her an admirable royal breed instead of a mangy mutt. But I don't think that's going to cut it, is it? A dog is a dog. You know, she asked 3 times, the Syrophoenician woman. She humbled herself and humiliated herself. And as a mother, she was at her wit's end under attack from Satan. Pride would have offended by the dog comment. Pride would have returned an insult for an insult and gone away with nothing. Empty. The Bible says God rejects the proud, but he gives grace to the humble in 1 Peter 5:5. When she got knocked down by circumstances and criticism, she got back up when others would have quit. She was wasting Jesus' time, they said, but she continued to ask and kept asking. She would not be knocked down. She stood up. She stood up for herself and her daughter. It was important for her. As a mother, her child was important. The primary purpose of this story is to inspire us not to give up. Keep asking. Keep seeking. Keep knocking. If Satan throws you down, don't stay down. Jesus is waiting to bless the one who keeps getting up and pursuing the master. You don't need the whole enchilada to do something. To do it significant for yourself or somebody else. 1 crumb can change someone's life. Do you know that? And a little piece can bring healing. 1 crumb for a good cause can give you the courage to persevere. 1 crumb full of faith, although small, but can have a huge impact. Listen to this last part. God was born into the world as a body in Bethlehem. Jesus. Bethlehem means the house of bread. So 1 heavenly crumb was born in the bread of life. And Jesus learned a lesson from this Syrophoenician woman. Did you know that? She was Gentile. He did not come from her kind. But because of her faith and her tenacity, he said to the woman, because of your faith, your daughter is healed. He never even went to see her. He just said, your daughter is healed. But he left Tyre and went to the Galilee region. And what happened? He met a man who was deaf and dumb in Mark 7:31-37. He was a Gentile. Guess what Jesus done? He healed him. He wasn't a Jew. He was a Gentile. Jesus learned something from the Syrophoenician woman. Her faith was greater than most of the Jews. And later on, that would be a very, very important part of Jesus' life. Moving on to